Hey guys, Morten Aastad here, welcome to my channel. In this video I thought I would tackle the 2025 vinyl tag. Now this year's vinyl tag does not come from Manchester and Rob, it comes from a pretty green vinyl guy, who after this I'm sure will have to change his name to not so wet behind the ears anymore vinyl guy. My take on this, or in my sheet, comes from watching Norman Maslov's entry into this, and so far I haven't seen anyone else's really. I haven't had time to dive into those, but there are 20 posts here, and some of them are fairly straightforward for me, some of them are a little more tricky, and a couple of them I will mention but kind of skip. This is not a contest entry, so I assume, well, I'm the editor of this, so I'm okay with it, really. For those who don't know me, of course, my name is Morten. I currently live mainly in Oslo, Norway this year. I do live part-time in Denmark, and I am Norwegian, Danish and Swedish, so I sort of consider myself a Scandinavian, which will also probably feature a little bit in this. So let us get started. So number one, best purchase of 2024, new or old? Sorry about that. All the records I was going to show was lying there in the order I picked them, which meant that I would have had to make this video backwards. But let's start. So, best, very hard. There's been some terrific new records in 2024, and I guess I went with the record that I have been listening to the most, and I really enjoyed this record, and I think it's their best record in years. By the way, I will omit some things in this video because I've decided to stick entirely with vinyl this time. So some of the answers I couldn't give without showing CDs, so I've had to do some adjustments for that. This record I've listened to a lot, both on vinyl and CD, because this is one of the bands where I always, if I can, buy both vinyl and CD, and it is the new album from Travis. One of my absolute favorite bands from Scotland. They released LA Times earlier this year, and I think it's a wonderful album, and the songwriting is splendid this time around. It really always is, but it's a little sometimes in the last few years, and I mean they're a band with soft songs and ballads and so on, but sometimes maybe a little bit meandering. Not this time, in my opinion. The only thing that I sort of come up feeling is that it seems a little short. But otherwise, a terrific album, and since I also have it on CD, it tends to end up lying in my CD tray, and me just playing clicking the play button in order to listen to it over and over again, because I really love this album. Now it said or, it didn't say and, it said or, but I'll show you my favorite purchase as far as, you know, an old album or a used album or reissue. Not this. Well, this isn't a reissue, but not from. This is a reissue from some 8 years ago. And I love Manic Street Preachers, and I'm trying to collect their entire discography on vinyl. I chose to pick this album up on a deluxe edition when it had its latest anniversary. So then all the vinyl sold out, and I've been looking, but I found this perfect copy here in Oslo this summer. Of course, this is My Truth, Tell Me Yours from Manic Street Preachers. from bought at the wonderful Rock og Rolls record shop here in Oslo, the second-hand record shop here in Oslo. So I'm so happy I finally got this. There are 2 Manic Street Preachers studio albums I don't have on vinyl. Soon to be 3, because they are releasing their brand new album in January. Now, of course, 2024, it's 50 years ago since 1974, and he wants us to tell you, him, everyone, the best album of 1974. Now, over the last couple of years, I would probably have shown a Rolling Stones record. I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan. We'll get back to that later in this video. But I think there's a record that doesn't show up on a lot of lists from 1974 by a band I think Norman Maslov would agree with me, is criminally overlooked at times. And it's the second album from 10cc. This is sheet music. And it's... I mean, if you don't know 10cc, obviously you should listen to them. This was 4 musicians who all could sing, and they all did. And they were quirky, they were funny, they were playful and intricate, I would say. And they made, was it 4 splendid albums before Godley and Krem left for a solo career. Initially left to tinker with a gizmo, but the band did continue with oh my god, me and name Stewart and for a number of years after that, and have had 2 sort of reunions, but this was them at top form. Tracks like The Wall Street Shuffle, The Worst Band in the World, Silly Love, Somewhere in Hollywood. Yeah, wonderful album and wonderful band. Now the next question is the best band of your home country, which is one of the reasons I, in my introduction, told you about my Scandinavian allegiance. Now I am in Norway now, and I am a Norwegian citizen, but I do feel very close to and more close to my home of Denmark, and I am fluent in Swedish. I've got family there, and so on. So it's very difficult. So I just thought I'd show you a couple of records from all, or a record or 2 from all 3 Scandinavian countries that mean a lot to me. Let's start off with Sweden, and this is Dungen, and it's a band that sort of sneaked up on me. I don't remember. I got a couple of CDs back in the band's early days, and I just thought they were terrific. Stadsvandringar, and I've gradually, when price permitting and everything, and reissues, gotten more of their stuff on vinyl. This is Ta det lugnt, Take It Easy, which is a reissue of sorts, but I think people would argue that the original version of this, which is one of the most expensive Scandinavian second-hand albums I've ever seen on Discogs, is a better version. But I take what I can get as far as Dungen goes, and they're an amazing band. So absolutely get Dungen if you can. And my favorite all-time band from Denmark. I mean, I would love to show some other bands that are more contemporary or still around, like Disneyland After Dark, DAD, or Mew, or Kashmir, Nephew, and so on. But first of all of those I only have on CD. The band I'm talking about now, I only have on CD here as well, but I have my vinyl records of this band in Denmark. But I can show the posthumous final album by Kim Larsen, who was, of course, the singer in Gasoline, an amazing Danish band from the 1970s, largely unknown outside of Denmark, Norway, some extent Sweden, largely, of course, because they sung in Danish. But Kim Larsen unfortunately passed away in, was it 2018? And, all of Denmark and a large part of Norway, where he had recently toured, actually, cried and were very sad about that. So I just want to show that. Now, when I started my vinyl community channel, and people heard about my Norwegian lineage, they would say, "Oh well, I guess finally we'll have someone who will make videos about Aha." In the beginning, I was sort of reluctant to and reticent to. No, I won't be that Norwegian guy who drones on and on about Aha. But Aha, of course, is massive band in Norwegian musical history. And fortunately, after their first album and hit single in the United States, I don't know if the Americans lost interest or the record company over there just dropped the ball. They then became very successful in the UK, of course in Scandinavia as well. Even the Swedes reluctantly bought records by Aha. They sold a lot of records in Germany, Japan, and lots of records in South America, where they also toured. And then they broke up after, was it 6 studio albums? Then they reformed, made 3 more studio albums, I think, broke up again, and then they've reformed again. And I want to show you the latest album so far. My favorite album is their second album, Scoundrel Days, but the album cover is up on the wall because it's signed by the band. So I show you, this is True North, or as the Canadians say, the other True North, and this was in 2022, I think. Yeah, this is a very nice deluxe edition with some amazing photography of Norway. I think it's largely from the northern part. It comes with a CD and a download card chip or something, I think, because they made a film as well of this, and I just thought I'd show you this photo here, if I may. Yeah, so Aha, very much still around, wonderful band, and a band that any Norwegian would be fairly proud of, and it's funny when I mention them and show records that aren't, their debut album would Take On Me. Quite a few Americans have commented and said, "What? They made more records? VH1 told me they were a one-hit wonder." Yeah, well, you sell hundreds of thousands of records in other places than the United States, but then you haven't sold in the United States, you're considered a one-hit wonder. So that was number 4. I have to step one back now and go to number 3 because I skipped one. That was number 3, defines a genre. Now, I love grunge, and I was going to show something grunge related. I love heavy metal, and I realized when I made my list that I hadn't managed to get anything by Iron Maiden into this. And then I thought, well, I have shown and talked about Iron Maiden quite a lot, so I'm sorry guys, but Nico having retired and everything, but I'll just have the t-shirt. So what I want to show you is, this is a band that I bought lock, stock and barrel, so to speak, in one box set without having heard them, because I love the PNW, the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and not just Seattle and the grunge area, but Portland, where I know some people, I've been there, and this band is from Oregon, This is Sleater-Kinney. How did I hear about this band? First, I thought they were a Monty Python tribute band because of if you know Monty Python and Sleater-Kinney. But then I started watching Portlandia, well, I don't want to call it a sitcom, but Portlandia with Fred Armisen and of course one of the members of Sleater-Kinney, whose name now, of course, have disappeared from my head. That's very embarrassing. So when Big Dipper, our wonderful record store here in Oslo, had this showed up on the shelf, I had very recently gotten a record player again, and I grabbed this without having heard the band before. They were, of course, and they are, because they reformed after being apart for a while, the band, so to speak, of the genre or movement of bands under the moniker, just like grunge was a moniker, Riot Girl bands, along with Veruca Salt and Bratmobile, Bikini Kill, and a few others. And I absolutely plots for them. I love them, and my favorite of theirs is this one, "Dig Me Out," and you see where the inspiration for this album comes from. This is, of course, inspired, I would assume, directly, because there have been one or two other homages as far as cover art goes from the Kinks controversy. So and this box set is amazing. There are so many wonderful pictures, and of course, it was Carrie Brownstein, who was also in Portlandia with Fred Armisen, and Corinne Tucker. So those are both guitar and vocals. They don't have a bass player, and Janet Weiss on drums, who I don't think she wasn't on the first album, and then she isn't in the band now either. So beautiful colored vinyl there from Sleater-Kinney. Number 5, Miss Dearly, an artist that you, in this case me, miss dearly and is very unhappy about. And I think, how 4th of July is the big day in America. Here in Norway, it's the 17th of May, which is our national day, our Constitution Day. And I remember waking up to it being 17th of May, and the first anything I got in on my phone was that Chris Cornell had passed away. So that really upset me. He's very much in my mind these days because I am listening to an audiobook about him and Soundgarden, and of course the whole scene there in Seattle. And just so sad and so unnecessary probably as well. I won't go into all of that, but Soundgarden has been a huge part of my life as far as music goes, and Chris Cornell is just so amazing. So that's my artist that I am very, very upset about. The next entry is Best Live Album. This one was tricky, and I almost went with Iron Maiden, but I guess this is my all-time favorite live album. I also have a Blu-ray of the concert film from this tour, and this is Wings Over America. Wings, of course, Paul McCartney. This was around the time of when they were really big after breaking through with Band on the Run, Venus and Mars, and this is I don't know I think this is from back in the day. I've taken very well good. It's a very good nick. I've owned it for many years. I think it's a Swedish copy actually. So Paul McCartney means a lot to me, and as you'll see in a later part of the video, he means more to me than the Beatles. So there you are. Sorry, controversial maybe, I don't know, but I love Paul McCartney. Next one, tricky one. It's number 7, Dumped. What do you listen to after a breakup? I never been in a relationship such. I have had one girlfriend really in my life, briefly, and she came to see me with her son in Denmark when I was living there. She was from Australia, and I went to Australia to be with her, and I was going to be there for a couple of months, and she broke up with me after 3 days. That's my experience with that. I wasn't even at my own place. When I paid quite a bit of money to go back earlier. I'm not blaming Australia. I love Australia. I love it dearly, and I did get to go there, and I were there for about I guess roughly a month. And but what did I listen to as a consequence, or to mend a broken heart? I have no idea. But trying to do a little research and so on, I suppose this would be a breakup album. This is 13 by Blur. The band were coming down sort of after, you know, their high successes after Parklife and so on. And there was strife within the band. You kind of think you hear it if you know it, because of the rawness and very different music they're producing. But I mean, No Distance Left to Run, Damon Albarn, probably affected by having broken up with was it Justine from Elastica and all that. And absolutely amazing album. I love this album. Tender and Coffee and TV. Yeah, this is great. I think this took a while before I finally got this on vinyl. So my Blur studio album vinyl collection is complete. So highly recommend this album if you haven't heard it. Number 8, I don't know. I don't really know about such things. I listen to stuff and I'm happy or I'm not happy, but it's called Best Sounding Drums on an Album. And I could pick out any Rolling Stones album and say, Charlie Watts, there's no better than that, or Nico McBrain, Iron Maiden, and so on and so forth. But my favorite album by The Who is Quadrophenia, and it sounds wonderful, and I think Keith's drumming here is great, and it really does tell the story, helps tell the story, and it's massive and bombastic, just like the whole album, and I love this dearly. This was my brother's copy, and he gave it to me, so it means so much to me. So much, in fact, that I have an old regular double CD. I have a deluxe CD, and I have a more than 10-year-old super deluxe box set that I finally managed to get my hands on last year. So amazing record, and I don't need to tell you that. Number 9, favorite artist who is a member of 2 bands at least. Favorite, I don't know, but I thought, I had some. I could go back to Chris Cornell and so on, but I wanted to do something with the Antipodian, down and New Zealand as such. So I chose Tim Finn. I'm thinking Tim Finn, that's not a band. Tim Finn, of course, was, the New Zealand man who started along with some other guys. The wonderful band that, if you see my videos, you know I go on about them quite often. Split Ends. Split Ends. Later members, members left and others joined, and one member who joined this band was Neil Finn, the brother, kid brother of Tim Finn. So Tim Finn then released this. Solo album. He had success as a solo artist and sort of lost interest in Split Ends. You could see that by the number of songs written by him dwindling and the number of songs written by Neil Finn increasing, not least because Neil's pop sensibilities and songwriting is just unsurpassed. But he was in Split Ends. He joined brother Neil's Crowded House for one record, Woodface. I don't have that one on vinyl, which is why I do not show the Crowded House record this time around. And he also joined, and that was supposed to be originally been a project between just him and brother Neil. And I think the record company pushed for it to become a Crowded House record. Later on, they would record a couple of albums as the Finn Brothers, which I would then sort of call a band of sorts. But Split Ends, Crowded House, Finn Brothers. So that's my entry. Number 10, Beatles or the Stones? The Rolling Stones. No competition for me at all. I've been a fan of the Rolling Stones since I was 6 years old, and it was a band that I started listening to. I think I got my hands on either a sibling or someone else's, a friend of mine's mother's compilation album, Rolled Gold. And when I was 6 years old, for Christmas, I got some Rolling Stones records from my brothers and my sister, and I've been a fan ever since. The Beatles, not until probably around 11 years old, when my dad bought some Beatles and Paul McCartney for me, because he couldn't stand me listening to the Rolling Stones. He thought they were absolute dreadful. And the Beatles records I got, I think, was some compilations of, film music and ballads or something, old goldies or something. But I do remember listening to and becoming very fond of Paul McCartney's Tug of War, which I got alongside those. But I have all of Beatles on CD. I have a couple of vinyls, and I have those deluxe boxes over there. And I adore the Beatles, but they can't compete with this, which is the Rolling Stones. This was supposed to be in here in another capacity, but I thought, I can't show Rolling Stones over again and over again. So this is with the original zipper there. I love Sticky Fingers dearly. You can see I have a deluxe box there, and I've got a couple of other CDs over there. So Beatles or Rolling Stones? Rolling Stones. For me, no competition. Number 11, I will basically just skip. The question was, you found a bag of weed. What do you listen to when you go home and smoke that? I do not smoke that, so that's not an issue. It's illegal here in Norway anyway. I don't want to be a square, but it's meaningless to me. So I'm not going to pretend. If I wasn't smoking weed, I would choose that and that music, because it just doesn't factor. It would be a lie basically. So sorry about that. Number 12, 80s album that you still listen to. There's a lot of them. I think that was probably the part that really drove me nuts there. I wanted to show some Depeche Mode. I wanted to show China Crisis. I wanted to show Howard Jones. I wanted to show Paul Young. I wanted to show lots of classic 80s and heavy, because there's no heavy metal in this, and I feel that's wrong somehow as well. But I remember buying this record, and probably because of the album cover when I was a teenager, I sometimes did that. And this is Level 42, World Machine. And I absolutely love this album to this day. I love Level 42, and I wish they were still recording music. I know they're touring still, and they had a sort of reunion album of sorts, Retroglide, but that's, what is that, 15 years ago now? So, yeah, Level 42, 1980s album, I listened to a lot. Number 13, artists whose political stance have soured you. So number 13, this is Friday the 13th. So that's, by the way, in Sweden, well, in here in Scandinavia, it's Lucia-dagen, the Lucia Day. No, I'm not going to do this because I don't do it. I love some of the artists who have opinions of life and liberty and democracy, and freedom to do this and that without it impeding other people's freedoms. So, for example, a band like Pearl Jam is an excellent example of that. They have their they work for their goals, and I admire that. And it's a bit like my favorite director and filmmaker is Woody Allen. And I have experienced over the years a lot of times that I have to defend myself for that, and my answer to that sort of ends up being something along the lines of you do you and I do me, and I think Norman Maslov would agree with me that those Woody Allen films are just terrific. So yeah, no, so I'm not going to do that. So number 14 is a favorite record label, and I took that to mean favorite record label design. I was going to show a Philips record at first because I for some reason I have very fond memories of those, but I'm going to go with I had a chance to show a Birds record, which is wonderful. And this one I picked up, I think it was last year. I've been looking for this. I mean, I have all of Bird's CDs and everything, and I have one or two of their other vinyls, and I'd love to get them all. But I always really wanted this, but I kept finding the single disc version of this, so which doesn't have this either. But yeah, no, this is my favorite CBS label, and I think it stems from me watching, the spindle on the record player where the hole is as a kid in my brother's room, and being very fascinated by this, and that's a very fond memory for me. So this is my favorite record label. Number 15, a run of 3 great singles. Now, here is when I did get to show some Depeche Mode. And I actually ended up... I got 4 here, but the 4th one is sort of an example. What's the order here? Right, okay. These are all from Music for the Masses. So this is, of course, A Strange Love. And yeah, we're going to put them there. We have Never Let Me Down Again, which, by the way, on the 7-inch is a map of Scandinavia, which I think is kind of fun. On the 12-inch is a different map. And we had the third one, Behind the Wheel. Now, I don't know in how many countries, but I know in France at least, I think, there was a fourth single, which is Little 15. So that was a run of 3 great singles from Depeche Mode. Number 16, RSD records you consistently listen to. So record store day albums that you've managed to pick up, and some of them at high cost or whatever, and then you don't end up listening to them. I guess that's sort of the thought there. No, I do listen to quite a few of my record store day albums, and I'm very fond of some of them. This year's Pearl Jam, for example, I had gotten the new studio album like 4 or 5 days earlier, and then I bought the record store day version, which had a very specifically cool colored vinyl. But I couldn't quite make up my mind which one of these are, but I think these are 2 of the ones I listen to the most. This one, I think I got at Record Store Day in Stockholm. So this is Todd with Inhaler. And Todd, of course, one of the grunge bands. Someone would maybe call them also rants. And just a terrific album by a hard-pounding, really fuzzy, grungy, great band that I wish more people could hear. And I actually got a Tad, I got a Tad album for this April's Record Store Day as well. And the other one, which came out, that was Record Store Day in 2023. This is Ian McCulloch with Slidling. This is his 3rd solo album. Of course, Ian McCulloch from Echo and the Bunnymen, which is one of the bands I was, there's no Echo and the Bunnymen in this vinyl tag, but there I managed to squeeze one in, sort of. Yeah, number 17 is an odd one. It's if I could be reincarnated as an artist who is dead or alive. Now, I'm not entirely sure how any of that would work. Would I then be living the same life as this person did, dying, or would I have an influence on this person? Would I be aware? I don't know. But if I thought about a few, and then I thought, no, some of this, it sounds a little bit morbid. But if I could experience how it was to be a great, not just a great musician, but a family guy and with kids and living in New Zealand and probably in Australia as well, and being an amazing singer-songwriter, and I mean a pop songwriter that Paul McCartney considers. I don't know if he has such thoughts, but at least I've been considered, an equal to Paul McCartney. It's Neil Finn. I mentioned Tim earlier, of course, but Crowded House, Split Ends, all his solo stuff. Just such a great musician, and I just adore Neil Finn so much. So number 18 was very difficult. It's best 3 lines in a song, and I tried to come up with things, but I ended up choosing Keen from their debut album. And part of the reason is because when I've seen them live, I love singing along with, a lot of their songs, but particularly this one. So little time, trying to make a move just to stay in the game. I try to stay awake and remember my name, but everybody's changing and I don't feel the same. And that was, of course, from their debut album, Hopes and Fears, which is 20 years old this year. So this is their 20th anniversary copy that I bought this year. Number 19, an album you never tire of. Well, I showed Sticky Fingers earlier, but I also, of course, have to show Pearl Jam. And this is VS. Their second album, the one I listen to the most, and never tire of. I love this album dearly, just like I love Pearl Jam dearly. So number 20 is very difficult. It's name your favorite VC channel. I have gotten to know both a little bit better, and quite well. A lot of really great people in the vinyl community over this past year and a half. And I don't want to omit anyone, and I can't name them all. So I will name the channel that I started watching, and I still watch every single thing he does. And since he doesn't know me from Adam, I just I'll pick him. He doesn't, he's got tons of subscribers, but it is of course Norman Maslov, or Massey. I love his channel. I really like his deep dives, his cultural background, his memory of artists from all the way back to the day when he saw the Beatles. And earlier that day he was thinking mostly about baseball, and after that, and since then he's only been thinking about rock and roll and music, and all it's jazz, and it's Jefferson Airplane, and it's the Byrds and the Kinks, of course, and all that. So and his fedoras and everything, and I love his channel. I love watching it, and since he doesn't know me from Adam, I can hopefully not offend anyone by forgetting anyone else. Anyway, guys, this was my entry into the 2025 vinyl tag. I hope you enjoyed my take on it, and if you are a VCer and you're thinking about doing this, I urge you to do it. It's funny, apart from having to put all these records back now. But hey, that's what Friday nights are for, aren't they? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to click like, that helps my channel. If you want to subscribe, and I also want to say thank you to all my new subscribers of late, that makes me happy, and I hope to see you soon in another video. Bye.